You can call me level, mid-level. All right, guys, it's time to get into it. We're here today to talk about the Sean Connery six film collection on 4K. Six of the James Bond films starring Sean Connery in 4K UHD for the very first time on physical media. So I've got the six film collection right here. There is also a steelbook option as well that I believe I want to say is sold out currently on Amazon, but there are still some available on Zavi. I will try to link that down below as well. And this is currently on Amazon for $99.99, which I will be linking down below as well. So, guys, look, I know I'm way late with this review. I'm about 3 weeks late. By the time I put this out, I might be over 3 weeks late for this review, but I wanted to do my due diligence here. I didn't want to rush through this. I have to be honest. I have to be honest for those of y'all that haven't heard. I've never been like the biggest Bond fan outside of the Pierce Brosnan films and also the video games growing up. I loved GoldenEye. I think The World Is Not Enough had a game on N64 as well, but Rogue Agent on GameCube, PS2, like I was a big time fan of like the Bond video games and then also the Brosnan films, but even the Brosnan films, like I haven't seen those movies in probably 15 to 20 years. I've seen one Daniel Craig Bond film, and that is Casino Royale. And then going into this, I had seen Dr. No all the way back in high school because a buddy of mine was a big Bond fan. He tried to get me to watch him. I watched Dr. No, and I was like, this is too boring. I'm out. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this though because I felt like I was ready. I felt like I was ready with this release to finally dive back in and give Bond the respect and the attention that it deserved. And I'm a lot older now. I've experienced a lot more films, and I just felt like I was ready to take the dive into Bond. So with this video, guys, we're going to be talking about the 4Ks, the visual quality. I'm going to be talking about my first time watching experience with 5 out of 6 of these movies, pretty much 6 out of 6, because Dr. No, like I remembered barely anything about it. So be gentle in the comment section. Just know that I am not the guy that's seen these movies hundreds of times on different physical media formats. I didn't own the VHSs. I didn't own the laser discs. I didn't own the DVDs. I didn't own the Blu-rays. I watched these movies for the first time on 4K. And because of that, I don't own these movies in any other format. And because Warner Brothers only includes the 4Ks here, I could not compare this to any other past releases. So when I'm talking about the 4Ks, I can only reference like what the 4Ks look like on their own. I can't compare them to any of the past releases or anything like that. So again, guys, look, I'm sure there's going to be some Bond fans that watch this video. Just know that I don't know anything about James Bond. Just watch this video with that expectation, and I shouldn't let you down too bad, okay? So like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and guys, let me know your thoughts on the Sean Connery Bonds in the comments section below, and let's get into it. I want to start. Look, guys, this video, this review, it's going to be shaken, not stirred, okay, for your viewing enjoyment. I may do stuff out of order, out of the ordinary, because it's very difficult to review 6 4Ks at once. I thought about like grouping them together, doing 2 at a time or something like that. And I'm like, no, I just want to do it all at once. Let me just check all these out. And that's why this took so long. I went on vacation. I came back. I watched all the Bond films. I needed some breaks in between because I didn't want to just binge them all because I felt like they would all just run together if I did that. So I tried to break them apart a little bit. View watch 2 of them, then watch another movie, watch 2 more, and then watch another movie, and kind of do it like that. And then I finally got through it. But I want to talk about the 4K quality first, and then we'll dive into my thoughts on the movies. That way, people that want to know about the visual quality can know about the visual quality, and you don't have to sit around and listen to me ramble on about what I thought of the movies. Those that are interested in that can do that, even though I've already been rambling for close to 5 minutes. So the 4Ks here, guys, these are native 4K scans from the original camera negative by Warner Brothers. There is HDR here, and there is Dolby Vision on each one of these 4Ks. So there are 6 films in this set. You have Dr. No, you have From Russia with Love, you have Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever. So 6 out of the first 7 Bond films. You got several aspect ratios because these movies were filmed in different ways, different aspect ratios. I believe that Thunderball was the first one that was filmed in Panavision. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was the first one. So you've got the different aspect ratios here. These are all on 100 gigabyte discs. And what I'll say about the visual quality, guys, again, like this is coming from somebody that hasn't seen all of those past releases. I thought they looked great. I really did. I'm usually a fan of Warner Brothers and like what they do with their classic film restorations. I tend to think that they do a pretty good job. There's not too many examples I could think of where they just phoned it in and I didn't think it looked good at all. Usually with Warner Brothers, their restorations are pretty solid, and I think this is perfectly in line with a lot of stuff that Warner Brothers has done in the past. And the thing about the Bond films, guys, I can't like go into like every single movie and break it down individually. But these movies have like so many different types of locations, exotic locations, islands, tropical islands, jungles, just all kinds of different beautiful like scenery in Japan. A lot of these movies take place in Japan. One of them takes place in my home state of Kentucky, Goldfinger. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, this movie, all kinds of great locations, exotic locations. You know, you got freaking, you have secret volcano layers, guys, in these movies. Look, I was a massive Austin Powers fan, and what a treat to watch these for the first time, like growing up with the Austin Powers films, because I get to see where all that came from. So that was a lot of fun as well. But visual quality, guys, I think is fantastic. I think all these look great. From Russia with Love and Goldfinger, I feel like might look the best. I feel like the other ones, like they were a little bit more ambitious with some of the set piece moments, which led to some stuff that just didn't look too great, didn't look too awesome when it was upgraded to 4K. I'll just say that. But I think that because From Russia with Love and Goldfinger are both a little bit more grounded in reality in their approach to the material, I think those came off a little bit better in 4K. From Russia with Love, I think looked outstanding. Dr. No actually looked freaking awesome too because it had that tropical setting and aesthetic. Like you got him and Honey Rider on the beach, which Honey Rider, guys, oh my goodness, in 4K. But you know that the setting for that one, I just felt like lent itself to a really nice 4K restoration. But From Russia with Love, like right from the beginning, I don't want to spoil things, but there's a moment in the beginning where I'm like, wait a second, is that James Bond? Because that doesn't look like all the way right. So I feel like that kind of ruined the surprise of that moment because in 4K you could just tell that it just didn't look right, that was not in fact James Bond. Thunderball, which we'll talk about the movie itself here in a second, tons of like underwater sequences in that film. And underwater sequences like sometimes can be hit or miss in 4K, but I think all the underwater sequences with Thunderball in 4K look outstanding. You can make everything out like perfectly. Like if in some of the past releases like DVD, Blu-ray, maybe you couldn't see stuff as well. I feel like there's a lot more clarity with that 4K and some of those underwater sequences. But yeah, guys, detail, clarity through the roof. I thought it looked excellent. Like Sean Connery, all of his different like outfits and suits, like just incredible detail. Just Connery himself. We'll get into it when we talk about the movies. As Bond is just spectacular, and he looks great in like every single frame of every single one of these movies, except for maybe parts of Diamonds Are Forever, but we'll get into that one. But yeah, guys, visual quality wise, I thought these all looked pretty damn spectacular, and I think Warner Brothers did an awesome job at upgrading these films to 4K. Now, Let's get into my thoughts on the movie. So I'll just say this, guys. Going into this, I like I said, I wasn't the biggest Bond fan. I feel like I'm now a pretty massive Bond fan. I'm a pretty big Bond fan as of this point, and I said it going in. I was like, as of right now, Pierce Brosnan was my favorite Bond because that's the Bond that I grew up with. I can firmly say right now with 100% confidence that Sean Connery is now my favorite Bond. To me, like he just embodies like what that character is. Like, and again, I haven't seen every single Bond movie. There's a lot of Bond movies I haven't seen, but like when you think of that classic Bond portrayal, it really is Sean Connery. Like he is so good at bringing the swagger and the charisma, but also like being rough and tough and gritty with his fighting style, just like being the brutes, but also the suave guy who can get all the women that he wants. And I mean, Sean Connery, yes, he gets every woman that he wants, like 3 or 4 per movie in these movies. But I love Sean Connery in these movies so much. I thought he was so good as Bond, except for maybe one, which we'll get into that one. But there's reasons for that. But yeah, I loved Sean Connery in these movies, in particular the first 4 films. I think he's the strongest in, for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed all these movies on some level, even though I will say Diamonds Are Forever is the worst. It's the worst, and honestly, it's the worst of these movies because Connery just feels like he's phoning it in. He just doesn't feel like the Bond in the first 5 films. And even, You Only Live Twice. Like that was the movie that he was very disgruntled on. I dug into a lot of like stuff. I started watching like Bond YouTube channels, YouTube channels that were specifically focused on James Bond because I was so interested in just the history of these films. And there's good special features on here for sure, but I wanted to know more. I got so like obsessed with Bond there for a couple of weeks. So yeah, he was very disgruntled when he did You Only Live Twice, which caused him to say, I never want to play James Bond again. So then they brought in George Lazenby to do On His Majesty's Secret Service, and then that didn't do very well. I think it was a flop pretty much. So then they're like, okay, we need to get Connery back. So they threw like $1 million at him to come back and do Diamonds Are Forever. And he pretty much comes back and just phones that performance in. And you feel it, and it might be because he's a little bit older, but also I think it's just because he doesn't want to be there. He knows that it's just a job, it's just a paycheck to him, at that point. So I think because his performance just isn't as strong as the first 4 for sure, but the first 5, I think he's good in You Only Live Twice. It just doesn't lead to that entertaining of a film. Like there's some fun moments in Las Vegas and stuff in the movie, but other than that, it's kind of a slog to get through. Whereas I didn't feel the runtime of because these are all like 2-hour movies, guys. I didn't feel the runtime of the other films, but I definitely felt it with Diamonds Are Forever. But going like the real like James Bond films in here are the first 5. And I know there's people out there that may not be huge fans of You Only Live Twice, but I think I like that one a little bit more than Thunderball. The first 3 were probably my favorite. But I think I liked You Only Live Twice a little bit more than Thunderball because I liked the more like over the top ridiculous nature of it. And then you have Donald Pleasance as Blofeld, which I did not know that Donald Pleasance was in the film. And the fact that they set him up in From Russia with Love, and then carried that through as the head of Spectre through You Only Live Twice, and then it was revealed that Donald Pleasance got to be the face reveal of Blofeld. I thought was great. And then you have that extra added later of, oh, that's where the character of Dr. Evil comes from in this secret volcano lair. And you got all the guys, the henchmen with the hard hats, and you got the piranhas in the water. I don't know. That one was just the perfect amount of just like ridiculousness. And I just really enjoyed You Only Live Twice. But yeah, you had the big I forget what it's called, but the plane with all the gadgets and machine guns. He's got the shootout with the planes and stuff, which is really cool. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. There's some questionable stuff in Japan, him getting married and basically posing as a Japanese guy, but I enjoyed the movie overall. Thunderball to me, I know I'm going backwards here, guys, but we're getting to the best. But Thunderball, I enjoyed Thunderball. that was it was Spectre, kidnapping or I say kidnapping, capturing two nuclear warheads, and James Bond's got to figure out how to get them back. There's a lot of underwater stuff in there. Like to me, like the third act of the film is all like underwater fight sequences. And I didn't enjoy that as much because I like to know like where everybody's at. It's not that it wasn't well choreographed. It was, but I still like get confused. Like who's that? Who's that? Like who's fighting who? Where's James Bond? What's going on? Like, so I'm not a huge fan of like just massive like underwater fight set pieces and sequences, which that is. And I think like it's the only like underwater fight sequence between multiple people that I've ever seen. So I feel like that was a pretty ambitious sequence, but also it just didn't quite work for me. But I like Thunderball. I thought it was a good one. But going back, let's go back to the first three. The first three were my favorites. I loved Doctor No. Like to me, that was the perfect introduction into this world and the character of James Bond. I just thought they set everything up perfectly. I loved how he just felt like more of a detective in that movie than any of the other ones. Maybe from Russia with Love, he was. But I just liked the way they set everything up. I liked Dr. No himself as a character when they finally introduce him like 20 minutes in, or when there's like 20 minutes left in the movie. I liked how he was like trying to recruit James Bond. I thought all that stuff was pretty good. You got the dragon, tank thing that he has to fight in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and Honey Rider. I think Honey Rider is like maybe my favorite Bond girl. And well, I mean, I like the girl in the second one, but she's just very memorable to me. And she really was kind of she was like the setup to all the Bond girls, I feel like going forward. So the prototype for what would become the Bond girl. But yeah, really enjoyed Dr. No. I was like, well, this to me is like probably going to be the best one of them all, right? And then I got to From Russia with Love, and I'm like, oh my God, this movie is freaking awesome. It's like a really in-depth, intricate, like spy espionage thriller. You got Robert Shaw as the villain, him and Sean Connery going toe to toe in their prime was so freaking cool on the train. Like it has one of the best like one-on-one fight sequences in all these films. So I really loved that. And that's kind of the introduction to Blowfield and Petting the Cat, and then the numbers. You got number 3 and you got number 5. You would get number 2. Who does number 2 work for? You would get him and Thunderball. But yeah, number 3, number 5, Blowfield, like that whole plot that they set up. It gets a little convoluted here and there, but I do think that everything they set up has a really nice payoff. I love the Gypsy Camp fight sequence as well. I think that's pretty damn cool. But yeah, I was a big fan of From Russia with Love. To be honest, that was honest. It might be my favorite just because of Robert Shaw and just like how badass he is. I don't feel like Bond ever got like a foe as formidable, at least in like one-on-one combat, as Robert Shaw and From Russia with Love, at least in all the other Sean Connery Bond films at least. And then we get to Goldfinger. And Goldfinger is just like really big and bombastic, and it also has a very intricate plot, but I feel like it has like the big set piece of Fort Knox. It's in Kentucky. Like you think he's going to steal the gold, which I think, because all these films, guys, are based off of books written by Ian Fleming. Is it Ian Fleming? I feel like I got his name wrong. That's what we're going to say. We're going to say Ian Fleming wrote the Bond books. I think there's 14 Bond books. I looked on Amazon, like I want to own them all now, and I want to try to read all of them. But the interesting thing about it is they don't start with Dr. No, they start with Casino Royale, and all the movies are out of order from the order of when the books came out. And they do change some stuff because in the Goldfinger book, I think I was reading or seeing the Goldfinger book, like his plot, his goal is to actually like steal the gold from Fort Knox. But in the movie, he's trying to destroy the gold, which will up the value of his gold that he already has. But yeah, Goldfinger is really cool. Really cool villain. I love the character of Goldfinger. He's really like big and over the top. Like the way they set him up is a little goofy. Like it's kind of like, oh, this guy's going to be the villain. He just seems kind of out of his element here with Bond. He's already got the jump on him. But he comes back with that whole like gold painting on the girl, set piece sequence, which is really cool and kind of sinister at the same time, a little disturbing too, the way they kind of showcase it. But it's kind of an iconic shot in the movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed Goldfinger, mostly for the big like set piece moments in Fort Knox at the end of the film. But that's the introduction of Odd Job throwing the hat, which leads to some really like fun moments in the movie, especially like him and James Bond like fighting at the end. That's really cool as well. But yeah, guys, that's me just kind of gushing on the movies themselves. I really enjoyed all of them. Even Diamonds Are Forever, I got some enjoyment of, but like I really liked like the first five. If I was gonna rank them, let's do a little ranking here. I would go Diamonds Are Forever, number 6. Then I would go Thunderball, number 5. And I don't even know what I think like Goldfinger is most people's favorites, I think, but I don't know the popular consensus on all the movies. Then I would go You Only Live Twice at number 4. I would go Goldfinger at number 3. Dr. No would be my number 2. I really enjoy Dr. No. I think that feels like the most like classic Bond, the way they set everything up. And then From Russia with Love, I think is number 1. I think that's the best Bond movie probably up until this point. Like I think it's better than all the Brosnan films. I think it's the best Bond that I've seen. But again, like you have to take my opinion with a grain of salt because I haven't even seen the Brosnan films in a very long time. But these movies, guys, they make me like, even regardless if they get 4Ks, they make me want to do that deep dive into the James Bond films. Like I want to go watch the George Lazenby film. I want to watch the Timothy Dalton stuff. I want to watch the Roger Moore films because I feel like I've heard that those movies just get even more like over the top and ridiculous with like Moonraker and Octopussy. Like I've heard these titles before. And it gets me excited because this is like my introduction to this world. So yeah, really enjoy these movies, guys. Let's move on to the audio because Warner Brothers did upgrade the audio here, or they created a Atmos track from the ground up for this release right here. 7.1 Dolby Atmos track just for this release for the first time. They also had the original theatrical sound with the DTS HD Master Audio 2.0. I watched these in Dolby Atmos. Like there really are some great like set piece moments and explosions and a lot of good gunplay with a lot of good, gunfire sounds and stuff. Just those classic like Bond like shots. Like like it just takes me back to when I was playing GoldenEye with my friends in middle school. Like just the way the guns sound, like it's all just so like classic gunfire, classic James Bond. I just loved it so much. So sound wise, this absolutely deserves a Dolby Atmos because there's so many incredible action set pieces. And the fact that like most of these films were in the 60s, guys, in the 60s, like they were doing like big action, like spectacle, like I feel like better than anybody at that time. Like they had to have been. So sound wise, it sounded incredible. And kudos to Warner Brothers for including that Dolby Atmos track. Now, getting into the packaging, let's do a package unboxing. I'm not a massive fan of this cover, but I mean, look, it does make a lot more sense to me now because most of these films take place in Japan. So, I mean, I feel like this does fit, the movies, but I think it's a little bit of a messy kind of hodgepodge of stuff. I would have liked the more focused cover, if that makes any sense. But on the back, you got all the films, images from all the films. You got that classic James Bond pose right there. Take it out of the slip cover right here. You got the 4K case. All 6 films are housed in this case. I'll show you a close-up right there. That's all the details of the film, the casting list, and all that stuff. You got the specs down there at the bottom. Open this up. You do have a digital code on the inside, and I've showed this off before, but all the discs have different colors. They all have their own discs. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball. Then you got You Only Live Twice and Diamonds Are Forever. So I like that they have, all the discs, different colors. I think that's pretty cool. And when you put them in, like in the title screen, they all like had the same James Bond pose, but they all have different color kind of at the bottom to kind of match the disc color. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, getting into the special features, guys. Again, like I'm a noob to James Bond, especially on home video. I don't have the past Blu-ray releases, but I do not believe that there is anything new with this release. I think everything they included here as far as special features, and there's a lot. There's a lot of special features on each one of these discs. All the special features for each movie are on each disc with the film on 4K. There's no like extra Blu-ray disc with the special features or anything like that. But I don't believe that there's anything new. If there is, then it's new to home video. It's not a newly like produced special feature, if that makes any sense. There was nothing that was newly produced for this, which is kind of disappointing because Warner Brothers has been on a really good run. They did all new features for the Clint Eastwood 4Ks. They did new features for Blazing Saddles. They did new features for North by Northwest last year. So I was kind of hoping they would do a couple of like retrospective features on Sean Connery's time as James Bond, but they did not include that here. So everything here is archival stuff. I did watch a good portion of it. I thought it was very interesting. There was a cool feature on I Think You Only Live Twice. It basically they did a movie that was like almost like a recap of the first four films to get people ready for You Only Live Twice. And I forget what that was called, but I watched a little bit of that. It was kind of weird the way they did it. But it was interesting they included that, and that's about an hour. But there's several featurettes in here, guys, that are like 40, 50 minutes, all kinds of good stuff, exotic locations and things like that. And old interviews with Sean Connery. I think there's deleted scenes and stuff. Just all kinds of stuff, all kinds of great archival stuff. But if you have those past like Blu-ray, DVD releases, like you're not getting anything new here, but it is nice that they at least ported over some of it. I don't imagine they ported over all of the material, but at least some of it for this release was nice. But again, nothing new here for this release, the Sean Connery 6 film 4K collection. Guys, look, now it comes time to talk about, is this worth it? Because this is going for $99.99 right now. And my only hang up here is the fact that it's just a little flimsy, case with a slipcover piece of cardboard over top. There's nothing special or elaborate about this packaging. I feel like the Steelbook set, when I looked at it on Zavi, is like $150. So for $50 more, you get this big tin Steelbook set with nice Steelbooks inside, protected by foam. And then for $50 less, you get this, which is just a freaking, case. Of course, I mean, it's got all 6 discs inside, so that's nice, but then a slipcover on it. I would have much preferred, some kind of like they did with Superman. Warner Brothers has done this before. That's why it's so frustrating sometimes with them. Like the Superman set was perfect. That would have been perfect for this. It doesn't even have to be really thick, expensive cardboard. Just get a little, a package that you can put all the 4Ks in, all the 4K cases, give each movie their individual 4K case, and I would have been happy with that. This just doesn't feel like it's worth $100, like this packaging. And I know it's about the disc, and you get 6 4Ks. You get 6 4Ks for $100, so that's like what, $17 a 4K. So that's a good deal. It is. But you're not buying them individually. Like that would be a good deal if you bought them all individually, but you're buying them together in bulk. So it should be a little bit less, in my opinion, maybe down to 80 would be a more fair price for this set, in my opinion. But it's still a great release. I think all the Bond films on 4K look fantastic. The movies themselves, I just really enjoy. And if you're a Bond fanatic, like you're going to want to see these films in the best possible picture quality and format. But there you have it, guys. If you do decide you want to get this, I've got the Steelbook set from Zavi linked down below. I've got this set linked down below from Amazon. Hopefully the price drops sooner rather than later. But thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.